pleasure to see you all here today. And it's a great pleasure for us also from Epiphany to share our mission experience to this Indonesian Riau Islands to teach English pre-COVID. So, we would like to thank you for all the organizers to invite us for this Catholic200SG Festival celebration. So myself, I'm Wilson. I'm the current chair of the Epiphany. And this is Celestine, who will also give her sharing later. This is the current overseas coordinator of the Epiphany. So today our talks will be about, the title is Tales of Lay Missionaries in Modern Singapore. So I will give a brief overview of what we are doing. So next slide. So who are we? We are actually a parish-based organization under CARIS, the Caritas Humanitarian Arm of Singapore, for overseas mission. We are based in the Church of Immaculate Heart of Mary, Serangoon. And our charism is to evangelize. So in this case, we are quite different from other ministry. So we go out to evangelize. We have a local mission. We help with the Advent outreach, pre-COVID, to do carolings in the mall and invite people to church. And also we conduct Alpha course for people who want to know more about Christianity. But today we will focus more about our mission to teach English in Riau Islands. So who are we? We are composed of parishioners. We have a friends of the parish. So we are not only a IHM church parishioner, but our volunteers or lay missionaries come from all around Singapore, from all different parishes. And we also have non-Catholics joining us. And we also have our communities in the schools in Riau Islands. So next slide, please. So our trip before the pandemic, we conduct it fortnightly, once every 2 weeks. And we try to match with their school semester also, so we don't go there during their school holidays and for December and July. And by doing this, we can do around 20 lessons a year. And we are proud to call ourselves missionary instead of volunteer, because we believe what we bring there is, on top of just teaching English, we also want to bring the love of God to these underprivileged children who are staying in the boarding school there. We have 4 stations, one in Bintan Island, is in Tanjung Pinang, the capital of Bintan, and 3 stations in the Batam and neighboring island called Rempang. So all of these are Catholic schools, but not all the students are Catholics. And we have around 12 teachers per trip. Some are regular, some are voluntary basis. Okay, next slide, please. So this is just a sample of some photos that what we do. So our volunteers before the pandemic go there and to teach English in the classroom. And some of the schools are headed by the nuns as the headmasters, or also some of the lay people there. And yeah, we, on top of bringing English to the children, we try to engage them also by doing some games, and because we do it every Sunday, so actually it's their break day, so we try to make it more fun, but at the same time they can learn. And also we want to kind of bring the love of God also to among us, our volunteers, and at the same time for especially those who are non-Catholics yet. Okay, next slide. So now, Celestine, we will talk about mission.
Hi, I'm Celestine here, and I've been doing mission for about 2 decades. I just want to share how I was called. Actually, we are all called to mission. The very fact that we are baptized is already involved in, have to be involved in mission. And every Mass that we attend, at the end of the Mass, the priest dismisses us and tells us to go forth and do mission. Right? So what is mission? In the Christian context, mission is about bringing the love of Christ to other people. And it can be within our own community, or it can even be overseas. Now, today I'm going to focus on the teachings of Christ in the Bible, so that we get a clearer idea of what mission is, as well as share some of my personal stories and the stories of other missionaries in our group. So, next slide, please. Okay, so in mission, and through mission, we are called and sent. If you suddenly get an idea, I want to go to mission, and there's no sending by the church, there's no blessing from the priest and so on, that's not real mission. That's not true mission. True mission, you must be called by God and sent by the church community. Now, here we see Jesus calling. All right? Jesus called the disciples, and then he sent them out to mission. So this is Jesus calling James and John, the two brothers. Right? Next slide. Here's another calling. He called Matthew, the tax collector. In those times, tax collectors were the scum of the earth. They were looked down upon. They were rich, but they were looked down upon by the whole community. But Jesus called Matthew. So it doesn't matter whether you are holy, whether you are gifted or not gifted. We are all called to mission. Right? So we have fishermen who are so poor. James and John were fishermen. And then we have a rich guy, but he's looked down upon in the community because they are seen as collecting money from the community and giving it to the Romans who were ruling over them. Okay, next one. Then we have this Samaritan woman. Right? She's another foreigner. Not exactly a foreigner. They were all from the same tribes, but they separated after the kingdom of David was divided. So they are not that friendly. Yet Jesus called her. Right? Jesus told her, I think you all know the story. She was very resistant at first when Jesus asked her for a drink, but he eventually won her over by telling her about her past and how many husbands she had and so on. And so she realized she was a real prophet. And I bring this up because what does she do after she was converted? She doesn't stay just herself with Jesus, but she goes back to her community and she tells them about Jesus. So the message is very strong for us. We cannot keep the love of Jesus to ourselves. We have to spread it. We have to tell other people, just like the Samaritan woman did. And what happened? They all were very interested and they came to talk to Jesus. And the whole community was converted. So this is evangelization within our own community. Epiphany does that when we have the Christmas fiesta. Every year we have a Christmas fiesta where we we go to the malls and we sing carols and invite people to come and see. And they come to IHM and we let them have a good time, share a meal with them, tell them about the church, show them all the things that they wouldn't know anything about church. And from there, we invite them to Alpha. Alpha is introduction to Jesus. Many of them have not heard of Jesus or don't know much about him. So we bring them to Alpha, and quite a number will go from the Alpha course into RCIA and get baptized. So that's our Epiphany mission to the community, the Singapore community. All right, next. Okay, so this is Andrew. Andrew is a very interesting disciple. He started off as a disciple of John the Baptist. And then one day, when Jesus walked past, John the Baptist points to Jesus and said, "Behold, the Lamb of God." And when when Andrew heard that, he realized that this was the Messiah. So he left his former master, John the Baptist, and then followed Jesus. Now, the moment he went to see Jesus, he was very, very touched, and he went to call his brother Peter. Right? There are actually two stories about calling of Peter, written by different disciples. One story is that Jesus called him direct, but in this story, Peter was called by his brother Andrew. This is Gospel of John. So we see now, God calls us in different ways. Jesus calls some directly himself, like the Zebedee brothers, James and John. But there are others where he sends people to call them, like the Samaritan woman. And now it's Andrew bringing his brother. So when God calls us, it's in many different ways. Very often he will call us through actions, through events in our lives. But sometimes it is through people, other people in our lives. Next one. So after he called his disciples, he formed them for some time, and then Jesus started sending them out. Now, before that, I want to point out, how did the people he called, how did they respond? Did they give excuses? Oh, I have to go and look after my father. I have to go and feed the family and so on. No, they all of them just dropped their nets and followed Jesus. So the gospel tells us when God calls us, we have to respond. We have to detach ourselves from all our favorite activities, playing mahjong or going to pictures, and focus on serving the Lord. Then, when Jesus had formed them for some time, he started sending them out. Now, I'm going to share with you my own calling to mission. It was done through someone. And the person was, I think some of you may have come across him. His name is Gabriel Teo from the Tana River Foundation. Gabriel Teo was a very dedicated missionary. So he gave up his job and he went to Africa and he set up schools for the African children. So he set up primary school first, and then he got more and more money, secondary school, and finally he brings them, the last stage is those who are capable, he will bring them to Malaysia for university education. So I got involved with him because he's a friend of my sister, and I just started helping him to raise funds. But I was so touched by him that I wanted to go to Africa, but I can't do that because I have family with young kids and so on. So there was no way I could do that. So I was looking for something that was closer, that I could, say, do on a weekly basis and not have to, spend years away from my children. So then one day, when I was in IHM, I suddenly saw this poster put up by Christian Kwan about a mission trip to Tanjung Balai. And at that moment, I felt, yes, this is it. This is the call. That's what I've been wanting to do, and here is a way that I can do it. And so that's how I started joining Epiphany. All these stories, actually, I'm actually putting into a book here. It's called Epiphany Tales. And it's written, the bulk of it is written by my husband, but Wilson here and Nicholas behind all have their testimonies inside as well. So when it's ready, I will tell you all more about it. It's still in the works. So now that is my personal calling and response. I also want to tell you about the response. Don't be afraid that you cannot do mission. Everybody can do mission. We are all called. We do it in different ways. Mission is just about bringing someone to Jesus, or showing the love of Jesus to the person. So it is not difficult. Anybody can do it. We don't have to talk. We can show it in action. And most of the time, that's what we do in Epiphany. Okay, so now Jesus sends them out. After forming them, he sends them out 2 by 2. Significance of 2 by 2 is that you go as a community. You don't go by yourself, right? It's a communal activity. Okay, the next part, yes. Jesus sends out the apostles, and what does he tell them to do? He tells them not to bring anything. No bread, no bag, no money, except a staff, and to wear sandals, and don't put on an extra tunic. So it's very important when we do mission not to go with too much baggage. That's what Jesus is saying. We don't bring our baggage over to the community that we are visiting, right? The tendency is very strong. When I started, I was like, we must bring them the best. We must bring them chocolates from Singapore and so on. And I even brought my own bolster, because I felt I couldn't sleep without a bolster. This is the baggage Jesus was talking about, but when I first started, I didn't understand this. All this I read later and came to understand. So I was finding it very difficult to adjust. And the thing is that you must look into yourself and be ready to sacrifice, to give up everything, to give up my bolster, to give up all the nice food in Singapore, and to blend in with the community. So you see, Jesus tells them, you don't move from house to house. Don't be choosy. Whatever they offer you, you eat. All right? So don't try and change the community. Don't bring Singapore and try and make them Singaporeans. You blend into the Indonesian community in our case, because we go to Indonesia. So that's what the gospel is telling us. So we have to study this all the time if we are to be grounded in Christ for true mission work. And slowly, I find that many of our mission group go through the same learning process. They go there thinking, wow, we bring them the best we can afford. No, we try and blend into their community. And I have a sister who does mission in Malaysia among the Orang Asli. And one of them, after many years, came and told her, sister, please don't bring expensive things to give us because it makes us very unhappy, right? It makes us feel that we cannot afford this and there's a world that's better outside and yet we cannot be part of it. So from this, I really learned, if you want to go to Indonesia and give them a party, buy the things in Indonesia and have a party like that. Don't bring expensive stuff from Singapore. It's not really the right way to do. So this is what the gospel also tells us, right, in Jesus' own words. Can you have the next? Right, so then he sends, after he sends the 12, who are the chosen apostles, he then sends 72 other disciples. This is us, all of us, we are the 72 disciples. And he tells them the same thing. And then, in this case, they came back with a reaction. Can we have the next? So, in this reaction, what is it that the missionaries are feeling when they come back? They feel very happy, yes, they have been successful, but they also took pride. You can see the pride in it, you know? He returned with joy and said, Lord, even what? Sorry, I can't see the demons. The demons submit to us in your name. So the pride is showing up, and Jesus' reply was, you shouldn't rejoice that the Spirit's subject to you, but you rejoice that your name is written in heaven. So that's the spirit we need to go in mission. That of course, that's the ideal. It's okay, we start off with all the wrong ideas, it's okay, because it's a journey. And many people start off by saying, oh, I want to go on mission because I want to show my children how lucky they are, right? But it's not the right reason for going back. It is a start, and from there we progress. It's always a journey. Next one. Now the Great Commission is about overseas mission. And this is what Charis is about, right? The sending of the 72 and the 12 are all within the nearby villages and so on. It's the same community. It's like us doing mission within Singapore malls and so on. But now, just before he ascends to heaven, Jesus calls them to go and teach all nations, not just the nearby villages. So this is where we have started. Charis is supporting us, going to Indonesia, and many of you are going to Myanmar, others going to Sabah, and so on. So it's a move to spread the gospel throughout the whole world. Next one. And then this is the what I said at the beginning, we are all called to mission, and the Mass is actually a preparation for mission, right? So that's when we set out for our mission trips. Usually, the day before, we will do the evening Mass, and then the next morning we set out. So this being grounded in Jesus is a very important part of mission. Okay. Next part. Okay. So this is actually summing up the whole thing. It's mission can be evangelizing mission or can be humanitarian. And as Wilson has said, ours is more of an evangelizing mission. But we also do humanitarian as first step. And it's a way of showing love also, humanitarian mission. So, for example, you help a child to pay his school fees, right? And that you do that to show your, love for the child, and it's an expression of love of God. And I can tell you that many people have come into the Catholic Church because they have been to Catholic schools and they have seen this kind of love shown to them in the school. So the Catholic schools are a great evangelizing situation for the Catholic Church. So there's local and overseas missions, and then there are also mission awareness trips. Those are the first trips you go on. You just want to see what's about. Many people go on several mission awareness trips before they actually decide on anything. Okay, yeah. Next one. So when you start on a mission trip, you have to make sure that you are actually going to be present, as in you have to go constantly. If you hop from one thing to another, that's not real mission. You have to build a relationship with the people. And you can't build a relationship, you only visit one, and then next year you go to another place. So in Epiphany, we do it every fortnight. We go back to the same mission station every fortnight. Right? Then in the next stage is Epiphany, where you try and make contact on a more spiritual level with the people. You try and show the face of God to them. It's often done in kind deeds and kind words. And finally, if there is a chance, if there is an opening, you make a proclamation. You tell them about God. But that is the last step. Right? So these are the three steps in doing evangelizing mission. Humanitarian mission is different. You just give them material help and show the love of God that way. Right, next one. Okay, I think I've more or less covered that. All the faults that I went through personally. It is, some people think of it as a pilgrimage. For many, it's also an ego trip. There's a chance to be Santa Claus. A lot of people like that feeling where they feel very great, showing all the wonderful things that they can bring from Singapore to these mission stations. And it is also not for our children's benefit. Some parents come to me and say, oh, I want to go join with you to go to Tanjung Pinang because I want to show my child how lucky she is compared to the children there. That's not real mission, but it's a mission awareness. It's hopefully they start from there and progress. And it's not, if you're going there just for an exotic experience, then I'm afraid it's not mission. And it is not a mission to heal yourself, right? That maybe in the process you do get healed, but that's not the primary objective of mission. So I want to read something out before we end, and it is about how some of us are feeling very inadequate. We feel, I'm not fit to join mission because I'm not holy enough, I'm not competent enough. But I want to read this out. This is from the book that I did an interview with one of the volunteers. And this is what he said about the experience he had. In the story in the Bible, in the feeding of the 5,000, at the beginning, what did they have? 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. And that's all they had to start with. So in mission, you also don't come with the complete resources. Very often you go with a little bit, and then God provides the rest. And this story that I want to read is about someone who found that. So this guy, I call him the architect of Teach and Learn, because he put the whole thing together. And he said this, that he was going to do a show with possible volunteers, people who coming to look-see, and he didn't know how to put together, but he had some idea. So he said this, at that time, I had no idea how to use Photoshop software. We had office designers, but I didn't want to use them as they were employed by the company. And but I had some Photoshop software in my computer, and I started playing with it. And honestly, God was there to guide me. To my own amazement, I found I just knew how to press this button and press that and press the next button. And then I was so amazed, I went and told my wife, look at this. I have no idea how to use Photoshop. And now I've managed to put all these pictures together. And it turned out a very beautiful slideshow. And many, many people volunteered for this. So this is the story of God's filling up all the weaknesses and lack that we have during mission. So we don't need to worry about not having enough resources. Over and over again, we have experienced. Last minute, we don't have enough volunteers, but they will turn up. We have never had to cancel a trip for lack of volunteers. We have never had to cancel anything for lack of money. Somehow the money will come and somehow the volunteers will come. So I'm always reminded of the story of the feeding of the 5,000 because Andrew brought this little boy and he had only 2 fish and 5 loaves. And yet they could feed the 5,000 people. So we have to have this attitude in mission. Right? I think that's it. So I just want to show you again, this is the book that we are putting together, and we hope to bring it out maybe by Easter, right? It's all a collection of all our mission experiences, of which you heard just a little bit, right? Yeah.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much, Celestine, for telling us more about mission and her own life experience about mission. So now, in the interest of time, I will skip my testimony, but it's inside the book. So next time when the book comes out. So we have 10 minutes left. I think I just want to share to you a pre-recorded video of our newer mission, Lay Missionaries. They just went for mission a few times before the COVID hits. But their testimony, I think, is quite inspiring. So we will play that soon. I'll just skip. Next slide. The next slide. It's around 10 minutes video, so we will overshoot a bit. And we will end. Thank you. They come from all different walks of life.
Throughout my life, I've been abundantly blessed with divine mercy. Through the intercession of Mother Mary, I was able to tread through life and down of life's journey. I was introduced to T&L mission at Tanjung Pinang in the year 2018 by T&L volunteer faith. Since my 3 children have grown up, I tell myself time is appropriate for me to give back to society what God has generously given me.
How I first started with Teach and Learn was while I was still doing my previous job. At that time, I think I was spending quite a lot of time at work, and I actually felt I was not really spending a lot of time with my family, and so I was at that low point in my life, and one night when I got home really late, I just wondered what I should do, because I felt like life was a bit meaningless. Yeah. So I actually asked my wife, and she just told me to go and pray about it. So I actually live quite close to the spiritual sector, CSC, and I was just intending to go over there to pray that night. So while I was walking there, it was very strange. I was just praying like what I should do, and suddenly a hymn just came into. After I checked it out, the hymn was actually the summons. So I figured that perhaps I was supposed to do some mission work. So I actually tried to Google Caritas, try to find out what kind of work was out there. And I actually came across, I think it was an ad for like Teach and Learn. That's how I actually got in touch with them, and that's how I got started. Yeah.
There was this one session where we asked the girls what their ambitions were. So 2 of them wanted to become doctors. One wanted to be a flight attendant. And I was pleasantly surprised when quite a few mentioned that they would like to enter religious life. So to me, that showed that the teachings and love shown by the sisters at the asrama has planted.
Oops.
In these young hearts and touch the lives of these teenagers. So that to me brought quite a lot of joy to me.
Always remember this word called joy. Yeah? Joy, the acronym is Jesus first, and then others, and then you. It's also like a sign of cross. So I think I get a lot of joy doing this work, although my work may be shift work, stressful at times, and I find a lot of joy being with the members. I think we laugh a lot. I never felt so relieved and so much fun with the members. We can be very free with each other. And also with the students. The students give me so much peace. I see Christ in them. They're so simple teenage students with all the smiles and the jabbing and playing with each other. I never get so much relief of peace from them. And best of all, it's the love that teachers have a relationship with them, teaching them, and they respond to us. And then when they do this in time, we find that they are able to feedback with us better, and the flow is better. Besides teaching, we're also learning from them. So I learned to be more grateful than not become more grumbleful. So the love that I get from them is really precious, priceless in fact.
Yeah, as I find that I actually learn a lot from children, and not so much of how much I have to impart to them, but I think through teaching, I also appreciate their simpleness and their joy. Though they may not have a lot of things like what we do here, but I think the happiness that they show each time we see them, how they greet us, especially when we are reaching there or leaving the place, often make me feel like um, they will enjoy us going there, they will miss us, and just as much as we miss them. So each trip that we make, I usually come back and I often thank God because it's only through Him that He lead us there safely, and I look forward to the following trips whenever possible. So yeah, through T&L, I have learned to know that all these things are possible because of the constant guidance from God as well as the encouragement from the team. I think through T&L, I also get to know the Epiphany group better through the various activities, and I think that bonding that I have from the other volunteers also kind of give me the encouragement to continue this mission work.
Okay, the first thing that struck me was actually the intense heat. Tanjung Pinang is very hot most of the time, and it really takes a while to get used to the weather. And also initially we had some issues with the girls, with them paying attention in class. But subsequently, when they got to know us better, they were wonderful students, very appreciative and also very eager to learn.
Okay, challenging as what the previous members have mentioned, the heat is really, how to say, then we realize that we are here, we are so hot on the aircon or on the fan, but over there, with, as what Lily has said, limited open space, windows and doors. So we are all enclosed and it's all just heated up, you know. But the next moment when storm comes, the whole blackboard falls down over us. That was my experience of the blackboard falling down. And also the second challenge is that it's so hard to get the students to pay attention. The attention span is very, very little, very short. So much so that I have to think of ways, you know, to divert their attention and create some stories for them, or, you know, just to make sure that they get back their attention to me. And actually in this way, I felt that it's really very challenging for this group. And I felt that I'm privileged to be given, I'm privileged and blessed to be given the opportunity to come over for this mission work, to learn more. And what David has said during the rain, you can imagine we are so fortunate here, but over there, heavy rain, everybody running, dancing in the rain. Another challenge that I overcome is my seasickness. When Faith asked me, I volunteered, but second thought I told myself, why did I volunteer when the moment I'm on board a boat or whatever, I'm going to vomit everything out? No, I tell myself, no. God will provide. God will provide and really make sure that I can complete my journey. And so far, through so many trips, I've never been seasick yet. Thank God. Praise the Lord. Amen.
I think like what you said, the challenges are so many. I mean, like for me, just to get to the terminal in the morning, because I don't drive, I take public transport, so I have to be up at 5. There's so many things to consider, like sacrificing your Sunday, to be away from family. And then also that worry before I started, whether I have the ability to teach, because I got no experience teaching English. Yeah, there's so many challenges that you will face, countless. But in the end, just trust in God and He will help make everything possible for you. Yeah, just don't worry about it. Everything will fall into place. It's like I thought I wouldn't have time because of my busy work. Then I actually found another job that actually gave me more time, so I could do teach and learn. Then surprisingly, my wife was also very supportive of me going on Sundays. Yeah, so everything was just be smooth. Just don't worry. Just trust in His plan. Yeah, that's all from me.
Well, get out of your comfort zone if you have not yet done so. Go with an open mind and enjoy the fellowship with the other volunteers. I assure you it will be a very enriching experience.
Okay, my own advice for future volunteers will be, as the word says, teach and learn. We teach English, but we learn a lot more from the people, the gifts from the people, see Christ in them, see Christ in members, how even the older or the more elderly people, I think a lot of people struggle a lot of ways and they make it. So we are just so grateful to be able to given a chance to do this work. And maybe perhaps the only thing I would say is when we are doing it, I personally always remind myself not to go there with the idea that I'm over the counter, like McDonald's. They need English, I give them English. But then it's not over the counter. Actually, we are like fellow pilgrims on the same journey.
I would like to say that when going on such mission trips, you have to bear in mind the culture, the different culture that we are going to. So we need to remember not to impose standards on them. So my advice is that you might not know whether you are called or not, but just make an attempt, go for it, and pray about it. But go without expectation. Remember, in the Bible, Jesus said, ask his disciples to go with nothing. No purse, no harvest set, etc. So, say, when we go on a mission, let's go with the love for the community. Just be there to give them the love of Christ.
Yeah. With that, we have so much time already. Unfortunately, we need to close, but I really thank everyone for coming from this talk, pray for all of you. And with this COVID pandemic, we hope that it's not stopping our mission, that we come out with a new thing to try next time when we can do mission again. And most importantly, is important to remember that 200 years ago, our missionary come here. They don't spread religion directly. They bring love and bring joy through education and hospital and this kind of thing, orphanage. So we should do that again and continue this mission. Thank you, and God bless everyone.